Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video on the channel. My name is Richard and this is my 2010 Cayman S. In today's video, we're going to do a little bit of a project overview as well as a track drive at the Slovakiaring to finally test out what I've been working on during the winter. Now, in my book, the Cayman 987.2 represents the best value track car from Porsche. We all know that one can get a 996, a 997.1 for similar money, but at the end of the day, you are presented with an engine that has very poor reliability, a lot of issues from bore scoring to oiling to the IMS, etc., 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 which basically means that you will spend a lot of money in upgrades before that is actually then working. Now, the Cayman, while yes, it's not a 911, it is one of the faster cars you can get from the Porsche lineup. It's comparatively fast as a .2 996, but it solves inherently all of the issues with the engine. Yes, it is not 100% bulletproof. There are some teething issues, but in principle, it is very good for track, especially when you want to be using semi-slicks like we have here, the Cup 2s. So it's important to bear that in mind that from my perspective, this is the best value. I have as well a 996 Turbo and a 997 GT3. Of course, with those cars, the performance is even higher, but it does come at a cost in terms of stress, as well as maintenance and repair, potential engine damage. Those are talking about much bigger numbers. But on to the Cayman in terms of what has been done. This was a bog standard 997 Cayman. I'll maybe post a picture in the video so you can take a look. What I've done over the past couple of months is sort of prepared it for track. So starting from the exterior, we have a fully mounted and installed aero kit, which consists of the two front splitters. Then at the rear, you have this nice wing, which in my perspective or in my book really makes this car. Without it, it does tend to look really weird. It's still not my preferred look, but it's definitely a substantial improvement with this wing. Other than that, of course, we did oil and fluid changes in that respect, but now talking about the more concrete stuff that you need for track work. Not many will know, but also the Cayman R does not have a third radiator. So this is an upgrade that is definitely worthwhile to do if you consider tracking. It's actually not a really difficult job. And so that should solve in principle all cooling issues. And then when it comes to braking, we did the full brakes, so meaning EBC brakes, brake fluid, Motul RBF 600 if not mistaken, braided lines, GT3 ducts, so it should be more than enough considering the weight, which is another benefit of this specific car. It is bog standard. It is basically bottom base equipment. It's an Austrian market car, so the previous owner, this is a single owner car except for me now being the second one, didn't opt for anything except for silver gauges. That means there is no leather, there's nothing there, if even is no jets for the headlights. And the headlights, by the way, are halogens upgraded with LEDs. So basically this car should be around the 3,000 pound mark. Interior is fitted, of course, with the obligatory fire extinguisher, as well as Recaro pole position seats with this nice Pasha material, these seat inserts that I really like. The driver one is a flat one. I have a separate set for normal driving, but for track I want to sit a little bit lower so that I can fit more freely at 6'2" with a helmet. So in general, that's a little bit about the interior. Other than that, we have a nice Nürburgring inspired sticker, and yeah, the car is pretty much golden. And so for today's video, what is for me super interesting, and this is my hypothesis that this is going to be a very good experience, because the 996.2 was terrible when it comes to reliability. I'm driving to the track. Hopefully at the end of the video, I'll have a brief summary of some of the notes, and hopefully the car will manage not to overheat. I couldn't do a recording on the track because I'm wearing this full-faced helmet, and probably you won't be able to hear nil with me speaking on the helmet. But just in summary, I think my hypothesis from earlier today checks out. The car performed fantastically. I mean, really, oil temp and water temp and sort of oil pressure were my first concerns. They all seemed perfectly fine. The highest oil temperature I reached was 108 degrees centigrade. Mind you, it's a cool day. It's like 14, 15 degrees outside. Right now it's 15. So yes, it's not the heat of the summer, but still that means that worst case scenario, I'll be in the 130s during the summer, which is an amazing result, to be completely honest, compared to a lot of other cars vis-a-vis the 335i. Now, in terms of driving, I'm sure you've watched the lap by now if you're at this part of video, and if you're at this part of video, then please consider subscribing and all that fantastic stuff, right? Anyways, it's bloody amazing. I mean, it could really keep up with a lot of faster cars. I mean, I'm not a bad driver. I did a 2-minute 33.3, which I think, considering the power to weight of this car, is a really good time. It also sort of shows the confidence that the chassis inspires. The way the car breaks away because of the mid-engine layout is far more progressive. And also a nice benefit, I'm still driving on the original fuel. I mean, I obviously filled up before driving to the track, and I did 3 30-minute stints, basically full kill, and yeah, I still have some fuel left, which is nice, because with the turbo, pretty much after 30 minutes I was already at a quarter full. So I have to say, chassis dynamics, everything really good. And honestly speaking, which was a nice surprise, I had a professional driver drive the car. He's been driving many years, yeah, but he drove it and he said, like, the suspension is clearly soft-ish for the racetrack, right? But he was positively surprised that despite this car having Michelin Cup 2s, it didn't sort of overwhelm the suspension, and the car was still very progressive in terms of how it handled. So I think, in that sense, a lot of nice comments to the car, and in a way, I hate to say this, but it's more successful than a 996 turbo in many ways, right? Because the 996 turbo as a car, it's fantastic. I mean, it has all the power, but like, I feel driving that car that there's a lot of suspension work that needs to happen for that car to be really amazing at the track. I mean, that really calls for coilovers. It calls for harder springs because it's really soft otherwise. Here, it's running a standard alignment. It's basically bog standard S suspension that is actually quite old, and you know, it handled perfectly fine. So I just really have to give this car compliments where it's due. It's an amazing platform, and I can only very much recommend it.